not showing up.
We live?
How do I find it? Okay, you got it. There we go. Can y'all hear and see? Shalom, Israel. Can y'all hear and see? Do we got sound? Type Y if we got sound. Type Y if we got sound. So we good? All right. Hey, Shalom, Israel. Most High in Christ bless. I'm Officer Eli, and to my right,
Officer Azaria.
we in for another 365 reading, chapters 10 through 13 of Leviticus, all right? These are some good chapters. For women, especially pay attention to chapter 12. Men and women pay attention to chapter 12. But in chapter 11, those are going to be some real good chapters, all right? So, women, cover your head. Men, uncover your head. And we're going to get started, okay? Leviticus chapter 10, verse 1.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 10, verse 1. And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer, and put fire therein, and put incense thereon, and offered strange fire before the Lord, which he commanded them not. And there went out fire from the Lord, and devoured them, and they died before the Lord.
All right, so let's read verse 1 again. Let's find out what's going on with the strange fire. What did Nadab and Abihu do that caused the Most High to destroy them? Read it again.
Verse 1. And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer, and put fire therein, and put incense thereon, and offered strange fire before the Lord, which he commanded them not.
Now, the strange fire, let's find out what the instructions were for those that were to offer incense and so forth to the Most High. Get Exodus 30, verse 7. Exodus chapter 30, verse 7.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 30, verse 7. And Aaron shall burn thereon sweet incense every morning. When he dress the lambs, he shall burn incense upon it. And when Aaron lighteth the lamps, at even he shall burn incense upon it, a perpetual incense before the Lord throughout your generations.
So this was a law throughout our generations, right? Read.
Ye shall offer no strange incense thereon.
So you're not to offer any strange incense. There was instructions on what you could burn and what you could not burn. So when it says strange fire, Nadab and Abihu put strange incense before the Lord. Okay, read on.
Nor burnt sacrifices, nor meat offering, neither shall you pour drink offering thereon.
All right, let's go back to where we was at. All right. So when you think about when the Most High gave instructions through Moses on what you were to sacrifice and how you were to do it, you were to do it to the specificity? Yeah, that works. As to how he told you exactly how to do it, you're supposed to do it exactly that way. Okay? Let's get an example of that real quick. That you know that this was a law throughout their generations. Get Luke chapter 1, verse 5.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 1, verse 5. There was in the days of Herod, the king of Judea, a certain priest named Zacharias, of the course of Abiah, and his wife was of the daughters of Aaron.
So his wife and himself were of Aaron's seed, okay? They were Levites. Go ahead.
And her name was Elizabeth. And they were both righteous before God, walking in all the commandments and ordinances of the Lord blameless.
So that's what makes you righteous, walking in God's statutes and commandments. Read on.
And they had no child, because that Elizabeth was barren. And they both were now well stricken in years. And it came to pass that while he executed the priest's office before God in the order of his course.
So y'all got to understand that the Levites, this was their job, okay? Each one of them had different jobs inside the congregation or the tabernacle, okay? So this was one of the jobs of, what's his name? Zacharias, okay? This was his job, read.
According to the custom of the priest's office, his lot was to burn incense when he went into the temple of the Lord.
So you see, his job, his lot, or his job was to burn incense, okay? So that's the same thing that Nadab and Abihu's job was. All right, let's go back.
Leviticus chapter 10, verse 1. And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer, and put fire therein, and put incense thereon, and offered strange fire before the Lord, which he commanded them not. And there went out fire from the Lord, and devoured them, and they died before the Lord.
So what was the fire that went out, okay? Go to chapter 9, and read 24.
Leviticus chapter 9, verse 24. And there came out a fire out from before the Lord, and consumed upon the altar the burnt offering and the fat, which when all the people saw, they shouted and fell on their faces.
Okay, so there was fire that came before the Lord that would burn up the fat and stuff that they offered before the Most High, all right? Now let's go back, verse 3.
Verse 3, Leviticus chapter 10, verse 3. Then Moses said unto Aaron, This is it that the Lord spake, saying, I will be sanctified in them that come nigh me, and before all the people I will be glorified. And Aaron held his peace.
Read on.
Verse 4, And Moses called Mishael and Elzaphan, the sons of Uziel, the uncle of Aaron, and said unto them, Come near, carry out your brethren from before the sanctuary of the camp.
Out of the camp.
Out of the camp. So they went near and carried them in their coats out of the camp, and Moses, as Moses had said. And Moses said unto Aaron and unto Eleazar and unto Ithamar his sons, Uncover not your heads, neither rend your clothes, lest ye die, and lest wrath come upon all the people. But let your brethren, the whole house of Israel, bewail the burning which the Lord hath kindled.
So when you read verse 6, he says, don't uncover your head, don't rent your clothes, lest ye die. He told Aaron and his sons, you're not to mourn for them. All right? Let's get Ezekiel 24 and 16. Ezekiel 24 and 16.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 24, verse 16. Son of man, behold, I take away from thee the desire of thine eyes with a stroke. Yet neither shalt thou mourn nor weep, neither shall thy tears run down. Forbear to cry, make no mourning for the dead.
You see, it says, make no mourning for the dead, because they were in the midst of sin. What they did was an abominable to the Most High God. Go ahead.
Bind the tire of thine head upon thee, and put on thy shoes upon thy feet, and cover not thy lips, and eat not the bread of men.
Read verse 18.
So I spake unto the people in the morning.
So in this case, Ezekiel went and spoke to the people. He went and taught the people that morning. Go ahead.
And at even my wife died.
And the Most High took the desire, which was his wife, away, killed her, and told him, do not cry for her, do not mourn. Okay? Let's get another example. Get Jeremiah 22 and 18.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 22, verse 18. Therefore, thus saith the Lord concerning Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah. They shall not lament for him, saying...
You see that? They shall not lament for him. They should not lament for him. Okay, read on.
Ah, my brother, or ah, my sister. They shall not lament for him, saying, Ah, Lord, or ah, his glory.
Okay, that's it. Let's go back to Leviticus. And we are at Leviticus chapter 10 and verse 7.
Leviticus chapter 10, verse 7. And ye shall not go out from the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, lest ye die. For the anointing oil of the Lord is upon you. And they did according to the word of Moses.
So let's look at that for an example. He said, the anointing oil of the Lord is upon you. Go to 21 and 12. Leviticus chapter 21 and verse 12. He said that the anointing oil of the Lord is upon you.
Leviticus chapter 21, verse 12. Neither shall he go out of the sanctuary, nor profane the sanctuary of his God. For the crown of the anointing oil of his God is upon him. I am the Lord.
Read it again.
Verse 12. Neither shall he go out of the sanctuary, nor profane the sanctuary of his God. For the crown of the anointing oil of his God is upon him. I am the Lord.
So that's why he was told he could not leave the sanctuary, okay? Because they had already put the anointing oil on him, so he couldn't leave the sanctuary. Let's go back to verse 8 now. Leviticus chapter 10, verse 8.
Leviticus chapter 10, verse 8. And the Lord spake unto Aaron, saying, Do not drink wine, nor strong drink, thou nor thy sons with thee, when ye go into the tabernacle of the congregation, lest ye die. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations.
So y'all would read that. Some people would read that and think that Aaron and them couldn't drink, right?
Right.
But when you're reading it, you got to go precept upon precept, okay? When they went into the tabernacle, they were at work. They were doing the Lord's work, so they could not have strong drink and so forth while doing the Lord's work. Get Ezekiel 44 and verse 15. Ezekiel 44 and verse 15.
Ezekiel chapter 44, verse 15. But the priests, the Levites, the sons of Zadok, that kept the charge of my sanctuary when the children of Israel went astray from me.
So you see that the Levites were to keep the charge of the sanctuary. Their responsibility was to take care of the sanctuary. Okay, go ahead.
They shall come near to me to minister unto me, and they shall stand before me to offer unto me the fat and the blood, saith the Lord God. They shall enter into my sanctuary, and they shall come near to my table to minister unto me, and they shall keep my charge.
So remember, this is talking about the sons of Aaron. This is the Levites. Remember, it said throughout their generations, okay? Read on. We're going down to 24. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass that when they enter in at the gates of the inner court.
Now, you see, once they go into the gates of the inner court, they clocking in. All right, go ahead.
They shall be clothed with linen garments, and no wool shall come upon them, whiles they minister in the gates of the inner court and within.
Go ahead, read.
They shall have linen bonnets upon their heads.
So as we start reading, now you're going to see what their uniform. You know, this is pretty much the uniform that the Levites had to wear while they were at work for the Most High. All right, read.
And shall have linen breeches upon their loins. They shall not gird themselves with anything that causeth sweat. And when they go forth into the utter court, even into the utter court to the people, they shall put off their garments, wherein they ministered.
So you see that? It said when they would go out to deal with the people on the utter court, they were to take that garment off, okay? Just like work. You go in, you put your uniform on. When you go off for work, you take your uniform off, okay? Go ahead.
And lay them in the holy chambers, and they shall put on other garments.
You see that? They shall put on other garments, all right? Go ahead.
And they shall not sanctify the people with their garments.
Read on.
Neither shall they shave their heads, nor suffer their locks to grow long. They shall only poll their heads. Neither shall any priest drink wine when they enter into the inner court.
You see that? That's what it was talking about when we was reading verse 9. Read that part again.
Neither shall any priest drink wine when they enter into the inner court.
Neither shall any priest drink wine when they go into the inner court. So when we was reading the Leviticus chapter 10 and 9, it says, do not drink wine nor strong drink. It's talking about when they were going to work for the Lord. When they were going into the inner court, they could not drink, okay? No drinking on the job is what the Most High said, all right? Read on. Jump down to verse 23.
Verse 23. And they shall teach my people the difference between the holy and the profane, and cause them to discern between the unclean and the clean.
Go ahead.
And in controversy they shall stand in judgment.
So they could not be drinking, and they would have to deal with the people in terms of judgment. Okay, they had to be sober-minded with dealing with the people. All right, read on.
And they shall judge it according to my judgments, and they shall keep my laws and my statutes in all my assemblies, and they shall hallow my Sabbaths.
All right, let's go back. So we're going back to Leviticus chapter 10. Back to Leviticus chapter 10. And let's read verse 9 again. Let's start at verse 9 again.
Leviticus chapter 10, verse 9. Do not drink wine, nor strong drink, thou nor thy sons with thee, when ye go into the tabernacle of the congregation.
That's what it's saying. When you go to work, when you come to work, do not drink. All right, go ahead.
When ye go into the tabernacle of the congregation, lest ye die, it shall be a statute forever throughout your generations. And that ye may put difference between holy and unholy, and between unclean and clean. And that ye may teach the children of Israel all the statutes which the Lord hath spoken unto them by the hand of Moses.
So that's what that was talking about. When you read verse 9 on down, it's explaining that when they were going to work and they had to deal with the people, they could not drink wine. Okay, go ahead.
And Moses spake unto Aaron, and unto Eleazar, and unto Ithamar his sons that were left, take the meat offering that remaineth of the offerings of the Lord made by fire, and eat it without leaven beside the altar, for it is most holy. And ye shall eat it in the holy place, because it is thy due, and thy sons' due of the sacrifices of the Lord made by fire. For so I am commanded. And the wave breast and the heave shoulder shall ye eat in a clean place, thou and thy sons, and thy daughters with thee, for they be thy due and thy sons' due, which are given out of the sacrifices of peace offerings of the children of Israel. The heave shoulder and the wave breast shall they bring with the offerings made by fire of the fat, to wave it for a wave offering before the Lord. And it shall be thine and thy sons with thee by a statute forever, as the Lord hath commanded. And Moses diligently sought the goat of the sin offering, and behold, it was burnt. And he was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, the sons of Aaron, which were left alive, saying, Wherefore have ye not eaten the sin offering in the holy place, seeing it is most holy, and God hath given it you to bear the iniquity of the congregation, to make atonement for them before the Lord? Behold, the blood of it was not brought in within the holy place. Ye should indeed have eaten it in the holy place, as I commanded.
So what is he talking about? I wanted him to read down because I wanted y'all to get all of that when it talked about the heave offering and the shoulder offering. So why was Moses upset that Ithamar and Eleazar did not partake? All right. Jump over to Leviticus chapter 6, and let's start at verse 25.
Leviticus chapter 6, verse 25. Speak unto Aaron and to his sons, saying, This is the law of the sin offering. In the place where the burnt offering is killed, shall the sin offering be killed before the Lord. It is most holy. So
that's what Moses did when you read, and where's it at? Verse 17 or verse 16 of Leviticus chapter 10. It says, And Moses diligently sought the goat of the sin offering. Okay. Let's read 6 again, 6 and 25. Leviticus.
Leviticus chapter 6, verse 25. Speak unto Aaron and to his sons, saying, This is the law of the sin offering. In the place where the burnt offering is killed, shall the sin offering be killed before the Lord. It is most holy.
Read.
The priest that offereth it for sin shall eat it. In the holy place shall it be eaten, in the court of the tabernacle of the congregation.
You see, that was the instructions that the Most High said, that they were to eat it in the holy place. Okay? Read on.
Whatsoever shall touch the flesh thereof shall be holy. And when there is sprinkled of the blood thereupon upon any garment, thou shalt wash that whereon it was sprinkled in the holy place.
Jump down to verse 29.
Verse 29. All the males among the priests shall eat thereof.
You see that? All the males among the priests shall eat thereof. All right? Read.
It is most holy.
All right. Oh, yeah, read on.
And no sin offering whereof any of the blood is brought into the tabernacle of the congregation to reconcile with the in the holy place shall be eaten. It shall be burnt in the fire.
All right. Now, let's go back to Leviticus chapter 10. Back to Leviticus chapter 10, and we're at verse 19.
Leviticus chapter 10, verse 19. And Aaron said unto Moses, Behold, this day have they offered their sin offering and their burnt offering before the Lord, and such things have befallen me. And if I had eaten the sin offering today, should it have been accepted in the sight of the Lord? And Moses heard that he was content. And when Moses heard that, he was content.
All right. So now we're going to get going to chapter 11. Chapter 11. If you have questions pertaining to chapter 10, let's go ahead and put them down at the end of the class. So write them down and then put them up at the end of class, okay? Let's start at chapter 11. And Israel, let's pay attention to chapter 11, okay? Read.
Leviticus chapter 11, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts of the earth.
So in chapter 11, it's explaining that these beasts are all the beasts that you can eat. Okay, in Leviticus chapter 11, this is going to tell you what you can and cannot eat. Okay, read.
Whatsoever part of the hoof and is cloven-footed, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat.
So it says, what part of the hoof and is cloven-footed. Can we get the image of the cloven-footed? Can we get that? Let's put that up. So cloven-footed. Let's read that, Azaria. Start from the top.
Cloven hoof. This is Wikipedia. A cloven hoof, cleft hoof, divided hoof, or split hoof is a hoof split into two toes. This is found on members of the mammalian order.
Let's just go to examples of mammals.
Examples of mammals that possess this type of hoof are cattle, deer, pigs, antelopes, gazelles, goats, and sheep.
All right. Now, let's read it. Read that verse again.
Leviticus chapter 11, verse 3. Whatsoever part of the hoof, and is cloven-footed, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat.
So it says, and cheweth the cud. All right. Let's get the definition. Let's get the cud up there. So what does it mean to chew the cud? Let's read that, officer.
Cud. Food that has been eaten by an animal with more than one stomach.
Okay, so that animal has more than one stomach. All right, that mammal has more than one stomach. Go ahead.
Such as a cow.
Such as cattle and sheep and so forth. Go ahead.
And it comes back into the animal's mouth to be chewed again before going into the second stomach.
So what the animal does is it chews it up, puts it in its stomach, and regurgitates it back up and chews it up and then digests it through another stomach. Did I have another thing on that? No, I didn't. All right. All right, so let's go back to where we was at. Where we at, 4?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go to verse 4.
Leviticus chapter 11, verse 4. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that cheweth the cud, or of them that divideth the hoof.
So now there are animals that chew the cud, and there are animals that have their hoofs divided, but they don't have both. Okay? Go ahead.
As the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof. He is unclean unto you.
So a camel does one. He chews the cud, all right? But he doesn't divide the hoof. So that makes him unclean. You cannot eat turduncan, all right? You can't eat camel. Go ahead.
And the coney, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof.
So let's see what a coney is, because some of us don't look up these words. Let's see what the coney is. Put the coney up. Go down to, it should be animal. All right. Hit Pika. Slide it down a little bit. All right. Just read the first paragraph.
A pika is a small mountain-dwelling mammal found in Asia and North America, with short limbs, very round body, and even coat or fur, and no external tail. They resemble their close relative, the rabbit.
So they look similar to a rabbit, or they're in relationship to a rabbit. Okay, go ahead.
But with short, rounded ears. The large-eared pika of the Himalayas and nearby mountains is found at heights of more than 6,000 meters or 20,000 feet, among the highest of any mammal.
So let's see if the Most High was right about that. Go to Psalms 104 and give me verse, let me see, 18. Psalms 104 and 18. So by definition, it says that they gather in the mountains. Okay, these are rock dwellers. All right, read.
Psalms chapter 104, verse 18. The high hills are a refuge for the wild goats, and the rocks for the conies.
And the rocks for the conies. So these conies, they dwell in the mountains, okay, in the rocks of the mountains. All right. Get Proverbs chapter 30 and 26. Most of us wouldn't even get to them anyway, but you can't eat it. You cannot eat it. All right. Proverbs 30 and 26.
Proverbs chapter
30,
verse 26. The conies are but a feeble folk, yet make their houses in the rocks.
You see that? Yet make their houses in the rocks. Okay. Let's go back to Leviticus. All right. So you can't eat coney. You can't eat it. Leave it alone.
Leviticus chapter 11, verse 5. And the coney, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. And the hare, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you.
I think y'all seen a hare before. All right, go ahead.
And the swine, though he divideth the hoof.
Now you see the difference? The swine has one of the other. He divides the hoof. Go ahead.
And be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud. He is unclean unto you.
So you can't have pig. You can't have it. All right? You cannot have it. Leave it alone. You can't eat pork. You cannot eat pork. All right? Read.
Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch. They are unclean to you. These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters.
These are what you can eat in the water. Go ahead.
Whatsoever hath fins and scales in the waters.
Can you look up fins and scales? Just give me an image of fins and scales. Whatsoever has fins and scales. So no shrimp, no crab, no lobster, no bottom dwellers. The Most High gave us an excellent dietary law because high blood pressure, all that stuff comes from eating shellfish. So he told you, if you eat these things, you'll be perfectly fine. Did you get one yet? Let me get an image up there. So you can have, you see it has fins and scales. You can eat that. Now give me a shrimp. Put up a shrimp. And he made it plain. He said, whatever has fins and scales, you can eat it. If it doesn't have fins and scales, leave it alone. It's just that simple. But Jake loves to try the Lord. Jake loves to try the Lord. You got one? Put the shrimp up. You can't have that. I know somebody going to get spirits on them. You cannot have it. It doesn't have scales and it doesn't have fins. Leave it alone. All right? Let's go back. Where we at? Verse 10?
Yes, sir. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 10. And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers of all that move in the waters and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you.
Go ahead.
They shall be even an abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh.
Don't eat their flesh. Go.
But ye shall have their carcasses in abomination. Whatsoever have no fins nor scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you.
So you cannot eat shrimp, crab, lobster. You can't eat it. All right, go ahead.
And these are they which ye shall have in abomination among the fowls. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination. The eagle.
You can't eat eagle.
And the ossifrage.
The ossifrage. I had to look that up. I didn't know what that was. Can we get the ossifrage? I know a lot of us don't look up these particular animals, so let's look it up. Ossifrage. Can you minimize it a little bit? So an ossifrage, a bearded vulture, okay? You can't eat bearded vulture. Slide down a little bit, hit Wikipedia. Okay, so an ossifrage, bone breaker, okay, is an older name for a bearded vulture, a scavenger famous for dropping animal bones and live tortoises on top of rocks to crack them open. Okay, so you can't have ossifrage. All right, let's go ahead. Let's read on. We can come out of that.
And the ossifrage, and the osprey.
And the osprey. Let's see what the osprey looks like. The osprey. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, slide down a little bit. Yep. So that's the osprey. You can't eat it. It's called the sea hawk, river hawk, or fish hawk. A fish-eating bird of prey. Okay? So this particular one hunts fish. You can't have it. All right? Let's go back to the scriptures.
Leviticus chapter 11, verse 14. And the vulture and the kite after his kind.
And the vulture and the kite. Let's look up kite. Let's look up kite. Let's see if we know what a kite is. Can't eat kite either. And it's not a regular kite. It's a bird. Can't eat it. You got it? It should be, yep, there it is. Kite. That's a kite. You got a red kite, black kite, a swallowtail kite, white-tailed kite. So those are kites, okay? Go to their family tree. What are they related to? I don't even know none of those words, but you can't have kite. Oh, buzzard. A bald eagle. So similar to an eagle. Okay, like a baby eagle. All right, let's read on.
Leviticus chapter 11, verse 15. Every raven after his kind, and the owl, and the nighthawk, and the
Cuckoo.
and the cuckoo.
Let's look up that. And remember, it says after his kind. Why? Because when the Most High made one, he made many of them. Okay? Cuckoo. Cuckoo. All right? That's a cuckoo. That is a cuckoo. You can't eat that either. Leave it alone. Can't have it. Go to definition. No, slide down. What is it? Is a summer visitant to the whole of Europe. Okay, a cuckold. You can't have cuckold. All right, that's what a cuckold is. Let's go back.
And the hawk after his kind, and the little owl, and the cormorant.
You know what's interesting is that all of these are scavengers, all right? They're hunters, all right? Even when you look at the fish, no scavengers. The Most High didn't want you to have scavengers. He didn't want you to have shark. Those are hunters, okay? The Most High gave you a particular diet because he made these animals. He knows what these animals do, okay? Let's read on.
And the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the gear eagle, and the stork, and the heron after his kind, and the lapwing, and the bat.
The lapwing. Let's look up lapwing. The lapwing. Let's see what that is. That's a lapwing. We can't eat lapwing. Okay? Now, it says, and bat. Let's see who eats bat. Let's put the video up. Who eats bat? We're not supposed to eat bat. Put the video up. Put the video up of the bat eater. Look at her eating bat. Go ahead.
A Chinese woman eating a whole bat at a fancy restaurant has gone viral as China and
We
other
cannot
countries in
eat
the
bat.
world are trying to contain the spread of the Wuhan
Look at that
virus
bat. Look at
code
that poor
name
bat.
2019 NCOV. The Wuhan virus belongs
Look
to a
at him.
family of coronavirus with many
Look at little
scientists
man.
believe that it might have originated from bats, the only
That's
mammals
messed up.
capable of flight. A
That is
separate trending
messed
video
up,
also
what
shows
they did to
Cantonese
homeboy.
speaking diners
Moab will
preparing
eat
to soup
anything.
made with a bat.
All
The
right,
new
that's
strain
enough.
of coronavirus
Moab will eat anything, man. Anything. All right, let's read on. Where we at?
Verse 20, Leviticus chapter 11, verse 20. All fowls that creep going upon all four shall be an abomination unto you. Yet these things may ye eat of every flying, creeping thing that goeth upon all four, which have legs above their feet to heap withon upon the earth.
So these are the ones that you can eat. Go ahead.
Even these of them ye may eat. The locust after his kind,
You can eat locusts, okay? John the Baptist ate locusts. You can eat locusts. Go ahead.
and the bald locust after his kind, and the beetle after his kind, and the grasshopper after his kind.
All right, you read on.
But all other flying creeping things which have 4 feet shall be an abomination unto you. And for these ye shall be unclean. Whosoever toucheth the carcass of them shall be unclean unto the even. And whosoever beareth out of the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean unto the even. The carcasses of every beast which divideth the hoof and is not cloven-footed or cheweth the cud are unclean unto you. Every one that toucheth them shall be unclean. And whatsoever goeth upon his paws among all manner of beasts that go on all four.
You see that? So whatsoever go on his paws among all manner of beasts that go on all fours. So you can't eat mountain lion, you can't eat tiger, you can't eat cougar, you can't eat any of those.
Dog.
Can't eat gorilla, dog, cat. They have paws. They walk on all fours. You can't eat them. All right, go ahead.
Those are unclean unto you. Whoso toucheth their carcass shall be unclean unto the even. And he that beareth the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean unto the even. They are unclean unto you. These also shall be unclean unto you among the creeping things that creep upon the earth, the weasel and the mouse and the tortoise after his kind.
And you can't have tortoise either. Play the video. No tortoise. No tortoise.
甲鱼，
You can't eat that. Look at that. Nasty. Nasty. You can't have it. Look at it. She's eating like a burger. Old tortoise soup burger. You know how you make a grilled cheese sandwich and you dip it in soup? That's what she's doing. That's disgusting. All right, that's enough. I hope y'all think it's nasty so you don't eat it. That's disgusting. All right? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I forgot my point.
We at verse 30. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 30.
Leviticus chapter 11, verse 30. And the ferret, and the chameleon, and the lizard, and the snail, and the mole, these are unclean to you among all that creep. Whosoever doth touch them, when they be dead, shall be unclean until the even. And upon whatsoever...
So if you find a dead mouse in your house, don't touch it. Sweep it in the bag, throw it out. Don't touch it. All right? Go ahead.
Verse 32. And upon whatsoever any of them, when they be dead, doth fall, it shall be unclean, whether it be any vessel, or wood, or raiment, or skin, or sack, whatsoever vessel it be, wherein any work is done, it must be put into water, and it shall be unclean unto the even.
So if you find it in one of your pots, you're to clean that pot out. Don't cook in it. Don't do anything in it. Okay? Until the even. Go ahead.
So it shall be cleansed, and every earthen vessel whereinto any of them falleth, whatsoever is in it shall be unclean, and ye shall break it.
Just throw it out.
Of all meat which may be eaten, that on which such water cometh shall be unclean, and all drink that may be drunk in every such vessel shall be unclean. And everything whereupon any part of their carcass falleth shall be unclean, whether it be oven or ranges for pots. They shall be broken down, for they are unclean, and shall be unclean unto you. Nevertheless, a fountain or pit wherein there is plenty of water shall be clean, but that which touches their carcass shall be unclean. And if any part of their carcass fall upon any sowing seed which is to be sown, it shall be clean.
So if you were planting something and they ended up dying on your plants, the most throw it out. But he said the seed is clean. Okay? Go ahead.
But if any water be put upon the seed of any part of their carcass,
falleth thereon,
it shall be unclean unto
so
you.
if water hit it, then it's no good. All right? Go ahead.
And if any beast of which ye may eat die, he that toucheth the carcass thereof shall be unclean unto the even. And he that eateth of the carcass of it shall wash his clothes, and be unclean unto the even. He also that beareth the carcass of it shall wash his clothes, and be unclean unto the even. And every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth shall be an abomination. It shall not be eaten. Whatsoever goeth upon the belly, and whatsoever goeth upon all four, and whatsoever have more feet among all creeping things that creep upon the earth, them ye shall not eat.
You can't eat centipede and millipedes. You can't eat those. Okay? Go ahead.
For they are an abomination. Ye shall not make yourselves abominable.
Make yourselves.
Oh, ye shall not make yourselves abominable with any creeping thing that creepeth, neither shall ye make yourselves unclean with them, that ye should be defiled thereby. For I am the Lord your God. Ye shall therefore sanctify yourselves, and ye shall be holy, for I am holy. Neither shall ye defile yourselves with any manner of creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. For I am the Lord that bringeth you up out of the land of Egypt to be your God. Ye shall therefore be holy, for I am holy. This is the law of the beast and of the fowl.
I want you to read that from the top again.
This is the law of the beast.
This is the law of the beast. Okay? The Most High is explaining to you. He explained everything, and now he's summarizing it. This is the law of the beast. Read.
And of the fowl, and of every living thing that moveth in the waters, and of every creature that creepeth upon the earth.
He said, this is the law of the beast, and he summed up everything. Anything that's in the water, anything that's creeping on land, he said, this is the law. Okay? This is the law. Go ahead.
To make a difference between the unclean and the clean.
Give me 1 Timothy 4 and 4. Because I know some people are going to get caught up on that. Give me 1 Timothy 4 and 4.
1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 4. For every creature of God is good, and nothing to be refused if it be received with thanksgiving.
So, I know we're reading that, and you're thinking that changed from what the Most High said in Leviticus 11. So we're going to read Leviticus 11 again. Read 1 Timothy 4 and 4 again, and we're going to read it in verse Leviticus 11, so you understand that this is the law. All right? Read.
1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 4. For every creature of God is good, and nothing to be refused if it be received with thanksgiving.
It says, and nothing to be refused if it be received with thanksgiving. Read verse 5.
For it is sanctified.
It is what?
It is sanctified.
Go ahead.
By the word of God.
So he said it's sanctified by the word of God. So let's find out what the word of God sanctified in Leviticus 11. All right? Leviticus 11, read 44, and then jump down to 46 and 47 again.
Leviticus chapter 11, verse 44. For I am the Lord your God. Ye shall therefore sanctify yourselves.
You should sanctify yourselves. Go ahead.
And ye shall be holy, for I am holy. Neither shall ye defile yourselves with any manner of creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth.
Jump down to verse 46.
Verse 46. This is the law of the beast.
Now, this is what's sanctified. This is the law of the beast. Go ahead.
And of the fowl, and of every living creature that moveth in the waters, and of every creature that creepeth upon the earth, to make a difference between the unclean
beast,
and the clean.
And the clean beast. Go ahead.
And between the beast that may be eaten.
And the beast that may be eaten.
And the beast that may not be eaten.
So when you read 1 Timothy 4 and 4, please don't confuse yourself to think that you can eat whatever you want. Okay? This is the law. Give me 2 Ezra 9 and 35. The law does not change. That law did not change at all. Don't confuse yourselves. Don't let nobody confuse you, especially if you're new in the truth. Give me verse 37.
2 Ezra chapter 9, verse 37. Now, notwithstanding, the law perisheth not.
The law perisheth not. Go ahead.
But remaineth in his force.
But remains in his force. Okay? Remains in his force. That law did not perish. All right? You cannot eat what you want. Eat what the Most High instructed you to eat. All right? Let's go to Leviticus chapter 12. That was it? Yeah. Let's start in Leviticus chapter 12. Leviticus chapter 12. So you can't have none of that. You can't have it. We already went over it. You cannot eat it. All right? Let's read Leviticus chapter 12 and verse 1.
Leviticus chapter 12, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a woman have conceived seed and born a man child, then she shall be unclean 7 days, according to the days of the separation For her infirmity shall she be unclean.
All right, so read verse 2 again.
Leviticus chapter 12, verse 2. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a woman have conceived seed.
So it says, if a woman have conceived seed. Give me the video on fertilization. If she conceives seed, seed meaning sperm, meaning birth, okay, conception. I think it's one that's on conception, right? Yeah, give me the one on conception. Just going to play some of it. You got to turn the volume up.
Fertilization is the epic story of a single sperm facing incredible odds to unite with an egg and form a new human life. It is the story of all of us. During sexual intercourse, about 300 million sperm enter the vagina.
Sperm meaning seed.
Soon afterward, millions of them will either flow out of the vagina or die in its acidic environment. However, many survive because of the protective elements provided in the fluid surrounding them. Next, the sperm must pass through the cervix, an opening into the uterus. Usually, it remains tightly closed, but here the cervix is open for a few days while the woman ovulates. The sperm swim through the cervical mucus, which is thinned to a more watery consistency for easier passage. Once inside the cervix, the sperm continues swimming toward the uterus, though millions will die trying to make it through the mucus. Some sperm remain behind, caught in the folds of the cervix, but they may later continue the journey as a backup to the first group. Inside the uterus, muscular uterine contractions assist the sperm on their journey toward the egg. However, resident cells from the woman's immune system, mistaking the sperm for foreign invaders, destroy thousands more.
So that's conceived seed. All that has to happen for
Next,
conception.
half the sperm head for the empty fallopian tube, while the other half swim toward the tube containing the unfertilized egg. Now,
Put
only
the
a
thing
few
on there. I
thousand
want you
remain.
to slide for. I want to see something.
Inside the fallopian tube, tiny cilia push the egg toward the uterus. To
Bring it down
continue,
on the
the
bars.
sperm must surge against this motion
Slide
to
it
reach
forward.
the egg.
Keep sliding it.
Some sperm get trapped in the cilia and die. During this part of the journey, chemicals in the reproductive tract cause the membranes covering the heads of the sperm to change. As a result, the sperm become hyperactive, swimming harder and faster toward their destination.
Right there.
At long
Start
last,
right there.
the female genetic material, awakened by the fusion of the sperm with the egg, finishes dividing, resulting in the female pronucleus, which also contains 23 chromosomes. As the male and female pronuclei form,
So
spiderweb
you even have male and female nuclei that come together to form a baby. Even inside the woman's system, it's a male and a female nuclei that come together to form the baby. Not two males. It's a male and a female. Male and female. Okay? Finish it off.
protubules pull them toward each other. The two sets of chromosomes join together, completing the process of fertilization. At this moment, a unique genetic code arises, instantly determining gender, hair color,
Hold on.
eye color,
Stop it.
and
Stop
hundreds of other characters.
Stop it. Go back just a little bit. I want y'all to really hear what it said. Yeah, right there. That's fine. Now turn it up.
Completing the process of fertilization. At this moment, a unique genetic code arises, instantly determining gender.
Determining
hair color,
gender.
eye color.
Okay? Gender. So soon as that happens, the gender of that baby is made. Okay? You can't have a transgender. That happens in conception. Okay? That's gender. That comes in conception. All right? That's it on that. Let's go back to Leviticus 12.
Leviticus chapter 12, verse 2. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a woman have conceived seed and born a man child, then she shall be unclean 7 days, according to the days of her separation.
So let's get the law on that. Leviticus 15 and verse 19.
Leviticus chapter 15, verse 19. And if a woman have an issue, and her issue in her flesh be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days.
So if her menstrual comes on, she is to be put apart 7 days. So that's the 7 days that it's talking about in verse 2, okay? That's the 7 days, put apart of the days of her separation. All right, go ahead.
For her infirmity shall she be unclean. And in the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised.
The flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. So let's get the law, Genesis 17. Let's get the law on that. Genesis chapter 17 and verse 10. So brothers, if you got the anteater, you got to cut it. You got to cut it, brother. I'm sorry to tell you. You got to get it cut. 17 and 10.
Leviticus chapter 17, verse 10. This is my covenant which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised.
So every man child must be circumcised, okay? As we repent, you must be circumcised. You got to get circumcised, brother. Go ahead.
And ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man child in your generations, he that is born in the house or bought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed. He that is born in thy house, and he that is bought with thy money, must needs be circumcised, and my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant.
Okay, that's an everlasting covenant. Now read on.
And the uncircumcised man child, whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He have broken my covenant.
So let's see if that changed. Give me Luke 1 and 59. Let's see if that changed at all. 59, yep, 1 and 59.
Luke chapter 1, verse 59.
Now this is John the Baptist. Go ahead.
And it came to pass that on the 8th day they came to circumcise the child, and they called him Zacharias after the name of his father.
So, but read 60.
And his mother answered and said, not so, but he shall be called John.
So this was John the Baptist, okay? John the Baptist got circumcised. All right? Now let's get Christ. Get Luke 2 and 21.
Luke chapter 2, verse 21. And when 8 days were accomplished for the circumcision of the child, his name was called Jesus, which was so named of the angel before he was conceived in the womb.
All right, before he was conceived in the womb. Okay, now we showed you what conception conceived of, what that means. Means that the sperm has to meet the egg. Okay, that's how you conceive in the womb. All right, let's go back to Leviticus. So John the Baptist got clipped. Jesus got clipped. Okay. Let's go back to Leviticus chapter 12.
Leviticus chapter 12, verse 3. And in the 8th day the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised, and she shall then continue in the blood of her purifying 3 and 30 days.
3 and 30 days. So 7 days of separation, 3 days plus 30 days. That's 33 days plus 7. That's 40 days. If she has a male, she's unclean for 40 days. Okay? Read on.
She shall touch no hallowed thing, nor come into the sanctuary until the days of her purifying be fulfilled. But
Let's get an example of that. Get that in Luke 2 and 22.
Luke chapter 2, verse 22. And when the days of her purification, according to the law of Moses, were accomplished, they brought him to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord.
So that's an example Mary had to do that law. All right? Let's go back to Leviticus chapter 12.
Leviticus chapter 12, verse 5. But if she bear a maid child, then she shall be unclean 2 weeks, as in her separation, and she shall continue in the blood of her purifying 66 days.
So that's 14 days plus 14 days. Okay, 60, that's 20 times 3, which is 60. All right, add the 14 days onto that. That's 74. Isn't that right? 74?
Plus the 6 days.
Plus the 6 days. Okay, so that's 80 days for a daughter. 80 days, brothers. 80 days.
Oh, man. Come on.
80 days, brothers. All right. Real quick, give me Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7. Start at verse 1.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 1. I myself also am a mortal man, like to all, and the offspring of him that was first made of the earth.
So he said, I myself am a mortal man. Mortal means that you can die, okay? He said he's a mortal man. Read. No. Read it again.
And the offspring of him that was first made of the earth.
And the offspring of him that was first made of the earth. Offspring, okay? That means something came out. Read on.
And in my mother's womb was fashioned to be flesh in the time of 10 months.
So in his mother's womb, he was fashioned to be flesh in a time of 10 months, okay? 10 months. So a full-term pregnancy is 40 weeks, 4 times 10. Okay, that's 10 months. Sometimes they say 9 months, but they forget about the month that they conceived. Mm-hmm. So it's actually 10 months for a full-term pregnancy. All right? Go ahead.
Being compacted in blood of the seed of man.
Of the seed of man. Go ahead.
And the pleasure that came with sleep.
That came with sleep, meaning in the womb. Okay, in the womb. It's peaceful in there. Go ahead.
And when I was born, I drew in the common air and fell upon the earth.
Because our mothers back in those days had the baby standing up. All right, go ahead.
Which is of like nature. And the first voice.
You see what it said? Which is of like nature. Why? Because you see monkeys do it. You see other animals. That's what they do. The baby comes out, falls on the earth. Well, not the baby, but you know what they are. They fall out onto the earth. So that's what was happening here. Go ahead.
And the first voice which I uttered was crying, as all others do.
As all babies do. That's how you know the baby's alive. Go ahead. That's why they smack them on the butt.
I was nursed in swaddling clothes, and that with cares. For there is no king.
There is who?
There is no king that had any other beginning of birth.
There is no king that had any other beginning of birth. So Christ did not immaculately be conceived. Okay, read on.
For all men have one entrance into life, and the like going out.
And the same way going out. Get Romans 12 and 2. All right, let's just kill that real quick. Let's kill that. All men.
Romans chapter 12, verse 2. And be not conformed.
No, not Romans 1. Give me Romans 1.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
Give me Romans 1. My bad.
Romans chapter 1, verse 3. Concerning his son Jesus Christ our Lord, which was made of the seed of David.
The seed of David. He came through that lineage, okay? So it took sperm to create David's line. Go ahead.
According to the flesh.
According to the flesh, all right? Your skin, your flesh. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go back to Leviticus. Did we play that other video? I think it's the first one. Yeah, let's play that real quick. Pregnancy 101.
The product of millions of years of evolution, the human body is capable of many remarkable things, but none of which may be quite so incredible as the development of life in utero.
So that's what Wisdom of Solomon's talking about.
Over 3 million babies are born each year in the United States alone. Worldwide, the highest fertility rate is found in Niger, where the average woman gives birth to approximately 6.49 children in her lifetime. Singapore sits on the opposite end of the spectrum at just 0.83, less than 1 birth per woman. While the number of births, customs, and traditions vary from culture to culture, the developmental process is essentially universal. Derived from the Latin word praegnatum, meaning before birth, pregnancy is the period in which the fetus develops inside the womb. Typically lasting around 40 weeks, human pregnancies are divided into 3 trimesters of 3 months each. Pregnancy begins in the uterus, where a sperm fertilizes an egg.
A seed fertilizes
if the sperm carries
an
an
egg.
X chromosome, the baby will become female, while a Y chromosome will result in the baby becoming male. The fertilized egg, or zygote, divides repeatedly as it travels through the fallopian.
X chromosome tells you that the gender is a female, and the XY chromosome tells you that the gender is a male. That's determined from conception. You don't get to choose that. All right, go ahead.
Tube, implanting itself on the uterine wall to form both the embryo and a specialized organ known as the placenta. Found only in eutherian or placental mammals, the placenta will manage waste and provide key nutrients, oxygen, and hormones via the umbilical cord. The brain, which will continue to grow and develop throughout the pregnancy, makes up nearly half of the embryo in these early stages. As the eyes, nose, ears, and mouth, along with all major organs, continue to develop in month 3, the baby will begin to look more and more human with each passing day. The second trimester lasts from weeks 13 through 27. The fetus will more than double in size during this time, and soon its movements may be felt by the mother. Hearing first develops around week 18, but the fetus will not respond to sounds outside of the womb until approximately week 25. Starting at week 28 and lasting up until delivery, the third trimester is a time for final touches such as eyelashes and taste buds. With most major development complete, the fetus will gain nearly half a pound a week. To make room for this rapid growth, the mother's internal organs adjust significantly throughout the pregnancy. Dropping lower into the pelvis, a fetus typically turns heads down in preparation for birth. Most bones will have hardened by this time, though the skull will remain relatively soft to ease the delivery process. Labor is divided into stages, beginning with the dilation of the cervix and resulting in the delivery of both the baby and the placenta. Despite thousands of years of human pregnancies, scientific understanding has only recently begun to catch up, leading to an increase in success and safety for both mother and child. As our understanding of pregnancy continues to develop, so do technology and reproduction.
That's it. All right, so let's go back to Leviticus chapter 12.
Leviticus chapter 12, verse 6. And when the days of her purifying are fulfilled for a son or for a daughter, she shall bring a lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, and a young pigeon or a turtle dove for a sin offering unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation unto the priest, who shall offer it before the Lord and make an atonement for her.
You know what's heavy? Is that it showed how hard it is to conceive. All of those little sperms that get there, then you get pregnant and then you have an abortion. All of the work that the body took to create life, and then you take it away. You know what I'm saying? Right. That's crazy. Go ahead.
Verse 7, who shall offer it before the Lord and make an atonement for her, and she shall be cleansed from the issue of her blood. This is the law for her that have borne a male or a female. And if she be not able to bring a lamb, then she shall bring 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, and one for a burnt offering and the other for a sin offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for her, and she shall be clean.
All right. So let's go ahead into chapter 13. Let's read a little faster. It's a lot longer.
Leviticus chapter 13, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying, when a man shall have the skin of his flesh, a rising, a scab, or a bright spot, and it be in the flesh of his skin, like the plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought unto Aaron the priest, or unto one of his sons the priest. And the priest shall look on the plague in the skin. And the priest shall look on the plague in the skin of the flesh. And when the hair in the plague is turned white, and the plague in the sight be deeper than the skin of his flesh, it is a plague of leprosy. And the priest shall look on him and pronounce him unclean. If the bright spot be white in the skin of his flesh, and in the sight be not deeper than the skin, and the hair thereof be not turned white, then the priest shall shut up him that hath the plague 7 days. And the priest shall look on him the 7th day, and behold, if the plague in his sight be at a stay, and the plague spread not in the skin, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days more. And the priest shall look on him again the 7th day, and behold, if the plague be somewhat dark, and the plague spread not in the skin, the priest shall pronounce him clean. It is but a scab, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. But if the scab spread much abroad in the skin, after that he hath been seen of the priest for his cleansing, he shall be seen of the priest again. And if the priest see that, behold, the scab spreadeth in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a leprosy. When the plague of leprosy is in a man, then he shall be brought unto the priest. And the priest shall see him, and behold, if the rising be white in the skin, and it hath turned the hair white, and there be quick raw flesh in the rising, it is an old leprosy in the skin of his flesh. And the priest shall pronounce him unclean, and shall not shut him up, for he is unclean. And if a leprosy break out abroad in the skin, and the leprosy cover all the flesh of him that hath the plague, from his head even to his foot, wheresoever the priest looketh, then the priest shall consider, and behold, if the leprosy have covered all his flesh, and he shall pronounce him clean, that hath the plague, it is all turned white, he is clean. But when the raw flesh appeareth in him, he shall be unclean, and the priest shall see the raw flesh, and pronounce him to be unclean. For the raw flesh is unclean, it is a leprosy. Or if the raw flesh turn again, and be changed unto white, he shall come unto the priest. And the priest shall see him, and behold, if the plague be turned into white, then the priest shall pronounce him clean that hath the plague, he is clean. The flesh also, in which even in the skin thereof was a boil, and is healed, and in the place of the boil there be a white rising, or a bright spot, white and somewhat reddish, and it be showed to the priest. And if the priest seeth it, behold, it be a sight lower than the skin, and the hair thereof be turned white, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy, broken out of a boil.
Go ahead.
But if the priest look on it, and behold, there be no white hairs therein, and if it be not lower than the skin, but be somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days. And if it spread much abroad in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean, it is a plague. But if the bright spot stay in its place and spread not, it is a burning boil, and the priest shall pronounce him clean.
You want me to take over a little bit?
Yeah, I got you. or if there be any flesh in the skin whereof there is a hot burning, and the quick flesh that burneth have a white bright spot, somewhat reddish or white, then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the hair be in the bright spot be turned white, and it be in sight deeper than the skin, it is a leprosy, broken out of the burning, wherefore the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is the plague of leprosy. But if the priest look on it, and behold, there be no white hair in the bright spot, and it be lower than the other skin, but be somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days. And the priest shall look upon him the 7th day. And if it be spread much abroad in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is the plague of leprosy. And if the bright spot stay in his place, and spread not in the skin, but be somewhat dark, it is a rising of the burning. And the priest shall pronounce him clean, for it is an inflammation of the burning. If a man or woman have a plague upon the head or the beard, then the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be in the sight deeper than the skin, then there be in it a yellow thin hair, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dry scald, even a leprosy upon the head or beard.
Now, it says a yellow thin hair is a plague. Put up the article. Let's see. What do our celebrities like to do? Okay, who are they mimicking? You got it? It should say, yeah. So who do our celebrities like to mimic? All right, let's just scroll down a little bit. Let's look at some names. Let's look at their hair color. Oh, yellow thin hair. Let's keep going. Tyra B. Henson, yellow thin hair. Oh, Beyonce, the Beehive, yellow thin hair. Let's keep going. Oh, Ciara, yellow thin hair. Keep going. I don't know who that is. Keep going. Oh, Laverne Cox. Hey, brothers, go back. Y'all see that? Y'all think that is a woman. Give me the joint. Give me the let's see who Laverne Cox is. That is a man. Laverne Cox is an American actor and LGBTQ advocate. She rose to prominence with her role as Sophia Bursett on the Netflix series Orange is the New Black, becoming the first openly transgender person. So brothers be looking at her and they thinking that's a dude. I mean, they thinking that's a woman.
I thought it was a woman.
That's a man. That is a man. Yellow thin hair. That's a man. All right, let's go. Let's continue on. So brothers, sisters, you got that thin hair. That is you're taking after the customs of Esau. They put Edomites with you know what I'm saying. Put white people with blonde hair. They are naturally that way. We don't have yellow thin hair. The Most High said that is a plague on our people. You see that? That's not us. Our hair does not come like that. Okay? So when you see people with that, you see Jake, you see blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans doing that, that's who they're emulating. They're emulating Esau. That's what they want to be like. Okay? All right, so let's finish off the chapter because we got a little bit. Let's finish it off. Verse 31.
Leviticus chapter 13, verse 31. And if the priest look on the plague of the skull, and behold, it be not in sight deeper than the skin, and that there is no black hair in it, then the priest shall shut him up that hath the plague of the skull 7 days. And in the 7th day the priest shall look on the plague, and behold, if the skull be spread not, and there be in it no yellow hair, and the skull be not in sight deeper than the skin, he shall be shaven, but the skull shall he not shave. And the priest shall shut him up, him that hath the skull, 7 days more. And in the 7th day the priest shall look on the skull, and behold, if the skull be not spread in the skin, nor be in sight deeper than the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him clean, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. But if the skull spread much in the skin after his cleansing, then the priest shall look on him, and behold, if the skull be spread in the skin, the priest shall not seek for yellow hair, he is unclean. But if the skull be in his sight as a stay, and that there is black hair grown up therein, the skull is healed, he is clean, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. If a man also or a woman have in the skin of their flesh bright spots, even white bright spots, then the priest shall look, and behold, if the bright spots in the skin of their flesh be darkish white, it is a freckled spot that groweth in the skin, he is clean.
So you can have freckles. All right, go ahead.
And the man whose hair is fallen off his head, he is bald, yet he is clean.
So sometimes y'all might see brothers and there's this kind of pushback, okay? The brother is clean. I see sometimes when I'm watching classes and stuff, and brothers will be posting in the comments saying, you know, how come his head is bald? You can't see the back of his head. You don't know if he got hair there.
Right.
You know, don't assume. It says the man is clean if he goes bald naturally, okay? Go ahead.
Verse 41, and he that hath hair fallen off from part of his head toward his face, he is forehead bald, yet is he clean.
He can be forehead bald, okay? The brother can be forehead bald, meaning you might see his forehead and you might see all the way back here and he got hair on his head, but you can't see it because he's forehead bald. The man is clean. When y'all watch classes, man, watch class. I'll be like, what are they talking about?
Crazy comments.
All right, go ahead.
And if there be in the bald head or bald forehead a white reddish sore, it is a leprosy sprung up in his bald head or his bald forehead. Then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the rising of the sore be white reddish in his bald head or in his bald forehead, as the leprosy appeareth in the skin of the flesh, he is a leprous man. He is unclean. The priest shall pronounce him utterly unclean. His plague is in his head. And the leper in whom the plague is, his clothes shall be rent, and his head bare. And he shall put a covering upon his upper lip, and shall cry, unclean, unclean. All the days wherein the plague shall be in him, he shall be defiled. He is unclean. He shall dwell alone, without the camp shall his habitation be.
Get Exodus chapter 12 real quick so we can get an example of that. Exodus chapter 12. It should be verse 1. I think he's talking about Miriam. Let me get it. No. Where is it at? Numbers 12, sorry. Numbers 12. Numbers chapter 12. And start at verse 1. Let's read down real quick.
Numbers.
So it said if they're leprous, they got to be put out, okay?
Numbers chapter 12, verse 1. And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman. And they said, hath the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses? Have he not spoken also by us? And the Lord heard it.
And the Lord heard it because they were speaking evil of Moses. The Lord heard it. Go ahead. Now this is Miriam trying to usurp authority over Moses. Okay, go ahead.
Now the man Moses was very meek above all the men which were upon the face of the earth. And the Lord spake suddenly unto Moses and unto Aaron and unto Miriam, come out ye there unto the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out. And the Lord came down in the pillar of the cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth.
Jump down to verse 10.
Verse 10. And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow.
You see that? Miriam became leprous, okay? Why? Because the Most High did that to her for speaking ill of Moses, to trying to usurp authority over the man. All right, go ahead.
And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said unto Moses, Alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us.
Okay, jump down to verse 15.
Verse 15.
Actually, start at 14.
Verse 14. And the Lord said unto Moses, If her father had but spit in her face.
If she had she was shamefaced it, okay, go ahead.
Should she not be ashamed 7 days? Let her be shut out from the camp 7 days, and after that let her be received in again.
So that's what it's talking about here. She had leprous on her, so the Most High put her out the camp for 7 days. So that's the same thing that is going on in this law, okay? Jump back over to Leviticus 13 and 46 again.
Leviticus chapter 13, verse 46. All the days wherein the plague shall be in him, he shall be defiled. He is unclean. He shall dwell alone without the camp, shall his habitation be. The garment also that the plague of leprosy is in, whether it be a woolen garment or a linen garment, whether it be in the warp of wool, of linen, or of woolen, whether in a skin or in any made of skin.
So all of the clothing that she wore, they had to do what? Read on.
And if the plague be greenish or reddish in the garment, or in the skin, either in the warp, or in the woof, or in anything of skin, it is a plague of leprosy, and shall be showed unto the priest. And the priest shall look upon the plague, and shut up it that have the plague 7 days. And he shall look on the plague on the seventh day. If the plague be spread in the garment, either in the warp, or in the woof, or in a skin, or in any work that is made of skin, the plague is a fretting leprosy. It is unclean. He shall therefore burn that garment, whether warp or woof, in woolen or in linen, or anything of skin wherein the plague is, for it is a fretting leprosy. It shall be burnt in the fire. And if the priest shall look and behold, the plague be not spread in the garment, either in the warp or in the woof or in anything of skin, then the priest shall command that they wash the thing wherein the plague is, and he shall shut it up 7 days more. And the priest shall look on the plague after that it is washed, and behold, if the plague have not changed his color, and the plague be not spread, it is unclean. Thou shalt burn it in the fire. It is fret inward, whether it be bare within or without. And if the priest look and behold the plague be somewhat dark after the washing of it, then he shall rend it out of the garment, or out of the skin, or out of the warp, or out of the woof. And if it appear still in the garment, either in the warp, or in the woof, or in anything of skin, it is a spreading plague. Thou shalt burn that wherein the plague is with fire. And the garment, either warp or woof, or whatsoever thing of skin it be, which thou shalt wash, if the plague be departed from them, then it shall be washed the second time, and shall be clean. This is the law of the plague of leprosy in a garment of woolen or linen, either in warp or woof, or anything of skins, to pronounce it clean or to pronounce it unclean.
All praises to the Lord. All praises to the Lord. So that was 365, Leviticus chapter 10 through 13. All right. Any questions? We're going to take a couple of questions before closing out. Any questions on what we read or what we went over in the chapters? Any questions? I think we were kind of detailed. I think everything was pretty much self-explanatory. But if anybody had any questions concerning the chapters that we went over, go ahead and post them now. We'll wait for about a minute or two before we close out the class. Where does what? Numbers 12. You can be an albino and still be Jake. So albino doesn't. Where's that verse at? Leviticus 13, and it says where it says from head to foot.
Verse 13.
Is that verse 13? Read verse. Start at verse. Yeah, start at verse 12.
Leviticus chapter 13, verse 12. And if a leprosy break out abroad in the skin, and the leprosy cover all the flesh of him that hath the plague, from his head even to his foot, wheresoever the priest looketh, then the priest shall consider, and behold, if the leprosy have covered all his skin, he shall pronounce him clean that hath the plague.
You see that? So if the leprosy covers all the skin, like in albino, okay, go ahead, read.
It is all turned white. He is clean.
He's still clean, okay? If his father's Judah, he's clean. All right? That's why I said it's not about your skin, it's about your nationality. Okay? You can be albino and still be clean. All right? Any other questions? Any other questions? Huh? Can we eat duck? Huh? Can we eat duck and tilapia? No, tilapia doesn't. That's the question? Can we eat duck and tilapia? Go to Leviticus chapter 11 again. Well, you got me? All right, go ahead.
Leviticus chapter 11, verse 18. And the swan and the pelican and the gier eagle.
Okay. Go to swan. Look up swan. Look up the family of swan. Look up the family of a swan. I think duck falls in that line. So, no, you can't have duck. Ducks. So, swans. It says, slide it up a little bit because there we go. Swans are birds of the family, okay? The swan's closest relatives include the geese and ducks. So, read verse 18 again.
Leviticus chapter 11, verse 18. And the swan and the pelican and the gier eagle.
That's it?
Yes, sir.
So, you can't eat that. Matter of fact, read 20.
Verse 20. All swans that creepeth.
No, all fowls.
I'm sorry. All fowls that creep going upon all four shall be an abomination unto you.
So it's explaining to you that, remember, it says, like when you read the stork and the heron after her kind, it's not saying that for all of them. That's because it's a written rule. So if a swan is if a duck's in the family of a swan and you can't eat swan, then you can't eat duck. They're in the same family. They're related. It's the same thing. Okay, any other questions? Any other questions? Leviticus 10 and what? Leviticus 10 and 20? I don't see what it says, and Moses heard that when he was content. I don't. They got to explain it because it doesn't say anything like that in there. Oh, thank you. Any other questions, Soldier? Warp and woof. Can you look up woof? W-O-O-F. I think it's clothing. I mean, hey, there's no law on it. It says yellow thin hair. You know, you want blue hair, that's on you. But it says yellow thin hair is a plague. So I'm only going to go with what the Bible says. And also, get sardines. Get sardines real quick. And asking about 10 and 15. Sardines. Look up sardines. Put scales and fins. Put sardines, scales, and fins. Yeah, do sardines have scales and fins? So, no scales on the head, short dorsal fin. So, oh, matter of fact, tilapia is right there. So, it looks like sardines is a no. Tilapia. Does tilapia have scales and fins? Largely scales scrape off easily. That's not saying it. Does it have scales and fins? Yeah, does tilapia have scales and fins? Okay, fish must have scales and fins. I mean, it's pretty simple. Look it up. If it has scales or if it has fins. If it doesn't have one or the other, it has to have both. So I don't know about tilapia. I don't eat it. So it has scales and fins? Okay, well, I was told it got scales and fins. So if you like the bottom dwellers, you can eat them. You can eat tilapia if you want. But, you know, I like some cod and some salmon. You know, some bass, something good. Any other question? A wave offering? They should have read that a couple days ago. I believe they went over that in the chapters before. So I'm going to go back through and read from Leviticus chapter 6 through 10. That's where it goes over like the wave offering and the drink offerings and so forth. Yeah, I'm not about to look for all of that. Let me see. Leviticus 7. Let me see. And Leviticus 7 and 30. Read that. This is going into the wave offering. Leviticus 7 and 30.
Leviticus chapter 7, verse 30. His own hands shall bring the offerings of the Lord made by fire. The fat with the beast shall he bring, that the breast may be waved for a wave offering before the Lord.
So, read it again.
His own hands shall bring the offerings of the Lord made by fire. The fat with the breast it shall he bring, that the breast may be waved for a wave offering before the Lord.
So that explains the wave offering. They have to take the fat with the breasts and they take it before the Lord for sacrificing. Okay? That's the wave offering. All right? So that explains what the wave offering is when you read chapter 10 and, which was it, 15? So that's what the wave offering is. You can read through chapter 7 and read on down, and it can explain it a little bit more. All right? Anything else, Soldier? The what? Let me see. Ezekiel what? What about it?
What is the pole of the head?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about what it means to pole on the head. I don't know what that is. The purpose in that chapter was to talk about the commandments that the Levites did. But I'm not sure about the pole on the head, to be honest with you. No, I mean they can Google it. Say some stuff you just don't got an answer to. I don't got an answer for that one. Let me see. $44 and put in a pole in the head, Soldier. Israel. Look up, go to Bible Hub. Let's look at the different translations. It might explain it. Go to Bible Hub. Bible Hub. No, just put in Bible Hub. Put the Bible Hub thing up. We can go through different translations. So put in Ezekiel. Look at the top. It says Genesis. No, go scroll up where it says Genesis. Go to Ezekiel and go to 44. Just go up to the top. All right, and go to verse 20. Just do it at the top. You just do it up there. All right. Yeah, just keep scrolling down. Hit 20, where it says 20. Hit that one. Go down. Okay, so polar heads. They must just keep it maintenance. They just maintenance your hair. That's it. So you can grow your hair out, but trim it up. Keep it maintenance. Make it look good. So keep going down. So Poland means to just trim your hair. It just means to trim it. You can grow it, but you can trim it. So there you have it. That's what it means when it means pull your hair. It just means to keep it up to par, trim it, you know. All right. Any other questions before we close out? What time is it? Any other questions? No? All right. So thank you, Israel. Another class, 365, Leviticus chapter 10 and 13. Okay? And if you need to, go back and watch Captain's class from yesterday and bring them all in together, all right? Hey, I'm Officer Eli, Iuic Concord. To my right.
Officer Azaria.
And thank you, Israel. Shalom, Most High in Christ bless.
Shalom.